Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. It has been a long time. Many of you have been wondering what has happened to Messenger of the Name. Is he dead? Is he on this part of the world, that part of the world? Well, I'm not going to get into my location, and I'm not going to get into a whole lot of this or that. But what I'm going to tell you is I have been in the wilderness seeking the face of Yahuwah to discern his voice. I have been seeking Yahuwah so that I can understand through visions and dreams and through direct communication with Yahuwah what is his will for my life. And by extension, that will be what would be presented in videos. And if I do not feel the Ruach of Yahuwah moving on me, I do not make a video for you, because it would be a vain effort, waste of time. You don't want to see this man standing in front of you without a true word of Yahuwah, because it's going to be very drab. It's going to be, of course, I could talk all day long. And I've been in the wilderness sharing Yahuwah, sharing the truth of Yahushua HaMashiach even, with lots of people in real time, in the real world. And I suggest you do the same. You need to put the phone down, put the videos down, shut the social media off for a time, and you need to engage with Yahuwah. You need to get on your face physically, on your knees physically, and seek the Almighty Elohim of Israel as if your very life depends on it, because as you can see all around you, it does, and it will. And the persecution is just now getting turned up, and it's going to get even worse. My friends, my sisters, everybody across the world who's hearing my voice, I want you to understand that when you see all this talk about death to Israel, that they're going to destroy Zion and all these things, I'm not going to get into all this right now, but I'm going to say a little bit. I want you to remember, we are Yisrael. That is what Yahuwah has called us to be. If you are grafted into the Messiah of Israel, then it says in the scriptures, you are Abraham's seed, heir to the promise. You are Yisrael. When they say death to Israel, they're saying death to you. You may say and think that this is just about a parcel of land in the Middle East, and sure it is, because that is the apple of Yahuwah's eye. But there is far more going on here. It is the demonic manifestation, a death cult, that is being basically wound up to bring about some of the final judgments. Many judgments are going to take place. And as you can see, America has made a different turn. We know that if you've been watching and been aware, this is nothing new. America's been marching towards a new world order and globalism for a very, very long time. However, it is more and more obvious as the days go on, and many of you are very concerned for your families, for your daughters, for your sons, for your granddaughters and grandsons, for your cousins, for your aunts, for your uncles, for your families, for your neighbors, for your friends, and rightfully you should be. You have to stay in the gap, waging the spiritual war. You have to get on your face and on your knees and seek the Almighty Elohim while he can be found, while he is near, because the day of Yahuwah is coming rapidly. And if you don't believe me and you're new to the channel, go back and watch my older videos. I've been doing this on YouTube for like 16 years, and even making videos before that were on Google and other places before YouTube became a big thing. So I have a lot of videos on the internet. Armageddon is a good one. It's timeless. It holds to this very day. I shot it like 7 years ago. The Day of Yahuwah, shot around maybe a few months later. Same kind of principles, talks about everything you see happening right now in this world around you. Okay, so I've been sounding this alarm, sounding this message for a long time. I've been around for a long time, and I've seen a lot of things. I've seen people come, I've seen people go, because they were never really truly among us. And that is one of the reasons why I'm here today. Because, you see, I don't just make videos weekly or monthly if I just feel like it in my own flesh because you need a video. No, I seek Yahuwah for hours. Yes, I seek Yahuwah for hours in prayer, hours. And I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this to inspire, for hours. And I will listen, and I will sit in total silence and listen to Yahuwah for hours, okay? And when I get the motivation from the Ruach HaKodesh that the time is come to speak to Yisrael, to speak to the people of Yahuwah, and I know that the time is then, that is when I speak, that is when the cameras roll, that is when it goes on YouTube, that is when you get to hear it, brothers and sisters. Okay, so I just want you to understand that this video and the videos you are going to see coming soon are coming from this place where Yahuwah has put inside me words that are burning inside my innermost being, burning inside my bones like fire, and there's no way I could hold them back. I must deliver the message. I must get it to you. Now, I'm working on a few projects. I am working on a video about various things concerning the pronunciation of Yahuwah's name and Yahushua's name. Also working on a book in that same arena of thought about the name of Yahuwah and how we know that it's Yahuwah. And it's going to be loaded with a lot of information you've never seen or heard, I assure you. But however, I don't want to digress into that right now, but I do want you to know these things are coming. And I have not been sitting stagnant. I am sharing the word of Yahuwah with my local community, sharing the testimony of Yahushua with people around me, making those important connections in the real world, at least attempting to. But also seeking Yahuwah in the wilderness. I've gone into the wilderness to seek the face of Yahuwah, to discern his voice, so that I know in a moment when Yahuwah is leading me this way, when he is leading me that way. And that is something you can only really know by walking with him, and it takes time to develop this type of intuition that comes from the Ruach HaKodesh, the voice of Yahuwah when it speaks and clearly reveals to you. And yes, I've seen visions and dreams. I've had a lot of amazing experiences over the last couple of years, but I'm not here to tell you about all that. I am instead here to encourage you, brothers and sisters, to also go up the mountain, put down the cell phone, put down the social media, go up the mountain and seek the face of Elohim. If it takes 40 days, if it takes 40 years, whatever you must do. Remember, Moshe went out into the wilderness for 40 years, okay, before he ever led the children of Israel into the promised land. This is important to understand. He had to become a shepherd. He had to work with his hands so that he could understand how to be a true shepherd. That's part of what I've been doing also, working physically with my own hands, not because I necessarily would have to, but because I want to be in a position where men understand where I'm coming from. They don't just see a man who knows the scriptures and knows nothing else. Instead, I have calluses on my hands and I have plenty of scars. I have, wounds and I bleed like everyone else. But to be practical, to practice the things that I'm preaching. I've been telling people, get away from these cities. Get away from these liberal places where they're pushing all of this communism, socialism, all these things. Get out into the wilderness, seek the face of Yahuwah, and know his voice. It is crucial, it is important, and I don't know how some of these guys are doing it when they're popping out video after video after video. And clearly when you listen to their teachings, it doesn't reflect that they're listening to Yahuwah, but that is irrelevant. We know that false teachers and false prophets have already shown themselves openly to the world, and they will continue to. The caveat with all this is that a lot of these people are going to die physically, and they're already dying all around you. Why? Because they took a death shot. And many more of them are going to die. And not only that, but as the time goes on, these false prophets and false teachers are going to be exposed. Yeah, many of you out there are going to be exposed. Not necessarily by me, but Yahuwah is going to expose you. Many people have worked their way into the so-called sacred name movement, the so-called Hebrew roots movement, many charlatans, many wolves in sheep's clothing. And Yahuwah is going to deal with you personally, and I know this because of the overwhelming conviction that Yahuwah has placed upon me, and that is why I'm before you right now. I want to go to Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 8, and I want to read a couple of passages for you today so that you can meditate and reflect upon the word of Yahuwah. Remember, the scriptures say that we should meditate upon the word of Yahuwah day and night. That is Psalm chapter 1. I want you to think on these things that I'm about to share with you. The very first thing I want to share with you is in Yeshayahu chapter 8, Isaiah chapter 8, starting at verse 12. Do not say a conspiracy concerning all that this people call a conspiracy. Whoa, that's pretty big all by itself, because all we see now are conspiracies. Not necessarily conspiracy theories. A lot of conspiracy facts, okay? A lot of facts. However, this still applies. This verse applies to those conspiracy facts, not just the theories. This verse says, do not say a conspiracy concerning all that this people call a conspiracy. Notice what it's going to say here. Nor be afraid of their threats, nor be troubled. When they say you're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy, When they say that they're going to push you into a 15-minute city, when they say that they're going to bombard you with 6G, yeah, 6G, not 5G, I didn't say it wrong. When they say they're going to use you as a human antenna, go read it up. This is not a theory, this is fact. Popular Mechanics, other science articles, you can read many articles, they want to use the human body as an antenna. Why? Because you already are an antenna. You are designed to receive knowledge from Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel. But they want to harness the way you've been made to produce and to hear from the voice of Yahuwah, and they want to use that against you, weaponize it against you, to make you essentially some kind of drone, robot, zombie slave. And you know this. You already know this. But do not be afraid. They're not going to fulfill most of what they're trying to do. They did not factor in the fact that the Elohim of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps, that his eyes are watching, that his ears are hearing, and that he is prepared. He is prepared to destroy the regimes of the world, to destroy their political parties, to destroy their kings, their queens, their leaders, whatever it may be that they have, and that he's going to set up his Messiah on Mount Zion just as it is written. So what is this all about? Do not say a conspiracy concerning all this people call a conspiracy, nor be afraid of their threats, nor be troubled. Listen to what it says. This is powerful, powerful. Yahuwah of hosts, Yahuwah Savaot, Yahuwah of the armies. Him you shall set apart. Him you shall make Kodesh. And then it says, and let him be your dread. See, the problem with this verse, many people don't understand it. What it's saying is, sure, there's conspiracies. Yahuwah of hosts knows there's conspiracies, but he's warning you, do not be afraid. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. If you seek the face of Yahuwah, you will find Yahuwah, for he has said very explicitly in the Torah, if you seek me with all your heart, soul, and mind, you will find me. Those are words of promise. Those are the words that I took to Yahuwah when I began to seek Yahuwah. Those words. Because all I really have is my heart, soul, and mind. That's all you really have. Use your emotions, use your feelings, seek the Almighty, tearing your heart, not your garment. Seek him with tears, seek him with fasting, seek him with humility. Very important. Do not worry about these conspiracies. Yes, be aware. You have to be aware. I'm not telling you don't be aware. I'm not saying stick your head in the sand. I'm not saying ignore what's happening. I'm saying clearly, do not fear their threats. For Yahuwah Sevaot, Yahuwah of the armies of the heavens, him you shall fear. He is your dread. In a moment, he could disintegrate you. He could split every single cell apart from you and scatter it to the unknown parts of the universe. You would never be the wiser. In a moment, in an instant, he can disintegrate this whole world. In a moment, in a flare of his nostrils, it's all over. But that is not how Yahuwah works. Instead, he sends his prophets, he sends messengers, he sends the warning to Yisrael. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm giving you a warning, brothers and sisters, a warning. Stop getting so obsessed. Some of you are obsessed. I know you're obsessed because I've had the privilege of talking to some of you, and I love you, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Many of you are obsessed with these conspiracy theories and the Illuminati and the Jesuits and all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, we should talk about it, but not be obsessed about it. I hope you understand the differentiation. I'll give you one example. A young girl, not knowing me at all, who was in the walk years ago, she just interacted with me and she asked, what do you know about your religion? Which I thought was pretty humorous, so I was just nice, you know, because she didn't know who I was, and I'm not going to be like, well, look, you know, if you go on YouTube, you can see everything I know or whatever, you know. No, I'm not that kind of person in real life. I don't get into all that. Instead, I'm just a living testimony. So what I say to her is this: what do you mean? And then she proceeds to go on about this conspiracy theory and that conspiracy theory and the Jesuits and the Masons, and I stop her. And I said, wait a minute, you asked about my religion, okay? You say religion. I mean, I don't use this term all the time per se. I know there's problems with it. Somebody's going to point me out, but this is a conversation I'm having in the real world, okay? And I can't correct every single thing the girl gets wrong. You got to just work with what you have. But, okay, one thing that I say to her is this: listen to me. The Illuminati is not my religion, okay? The Jesuits, that's not my religion. My fear and dread is Yahuwah. If you're obsessed with these things, and it's not just like I'm learning about it, so, you know, it's like a little phase you're in, but you're obsessing on it, you're not properly applying the scriptures. You're not properly applying what Yahuwah has told you to do. You are one of the most important things on this earth. You are the treasures of Yahuwah, brothers and sisters. You were called and redeemed by the blood of the Mashiach. If you are Messiahs, you are Abraham's seed, heirs to the promise. When they're screaming and shouting death to Israel, death to America, they're really actually screaming death to you, death to me. They don't know it. It's spiritual, it's supernatural, it's beyond them. They're ravenous wolves. They don't know what they're doing. They're just going along with the devil and his work. You may say, no, Mark, that's about Zionism, that's about Judaism, that's about... No, you are deceived if you think that all we're seeing in the world right now is just about a little piece of land, which is very important, apple of Yahuwah's eye, the piece of land that we're talking about. And if you think we're just talking about his people, well, you've also missed it, because it is about his people. But I'm going to tell you something a little deeper. The great controversy that's happening right now is about the Elohim of Israel. So you think, I know some of you, that Satan has all this power, that he's pulling the strings. Go read the book of Job, chapter 1, and understand who really pulls the strings. When the Satan needs to appear before Yahuwah, he comes before Yahuwah. Yahuwah pulls the strings. Yahuwah is in control. Yahuwah has the final say in everything, in every word, in every deed. And if you can't accept that, then I don't know what to tell you. We're very late in the game, and I don't have time to explain it to you. You need to study your scriptures. You need to seek the face of Yahuwah. So do not say a conspiracy like the people. Why? Why does it say all this? I'm going to cut over to the book of Amos, chapter 5. I'm going to start in verse 18. I'm going to try to fill in the blanks for you. Why does it say this? In Amos chapter 5, starting in verse 18, we read, "Woe to you who are longing," listen to this now, "for the day of Yahuwah." Some of you are saying that you just can't wait for it to just get over with, right? You're just hoping that we could just get to the point. I've heard this a few times now. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Your whole thinking is wrong, and I'm here to change it. Listen to this for a moment. It says, "Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahuwah." What does the day of Yahuwah mean to you? It is darkness and not light. As when a man flees from a lion. I want you to listen very carefully to this. Listen very carefully. As when a man flees from a lion, and a bear shall meet him. Or entered his house, rested his hand on the wall, and a serpent shall bite him. Is not the day of Yahuwah darkness and not light? Is it not very dark with no brightness in it? Brothers and sisters, do you hear what it says? If you avoid the lion, you're going to get torn by the bear. If you think you found rest and you go into your home and you stick your hand on the wall, a snake will bite you. This is the day of Yahuwah. It is a snare after a snare after a snare. Many people will fall into a pit, dig themselves out of the pit, and then as they are getting out, trip and fall into another pit. That is the way this thing is designed. You are being sifted. You are being tried. This is the final hour. This is the time. I'm calling on the soldiers of Yahuwah's people. And I'm telling you right now, you fight this war on your knees in front of the Elohim of Israel. That's how you become a man. That's how you become tough. That's how you become the man that Yahuwah has called you to be. How? By seeking the face of the Elohim of Israel. And he will lead you into all truth. He will guide you this way and that way. You will hear a voice from behind saying, "This is the way, walk in it." That's the scriptures. All right. So just remember what it says here. I'm going to read it one more time. As when a man flees from a lion, and a bear shall meet him, or entered his house, rested his hand on the wall, and a serpent shall bite him. Is not the day of Yahuwah darkness and not light? Is it not very dark with no brightness in it? So this is important to understand. The day of Yahuwah is a day of darkness. There is no brightness in it. Why are you seeking for the day of his wrath? Some of you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. Instead, you need to stand in the gap for your own life and for the lives of loved ones, for the lives of individuals, for the lives of people all around the world. This is very crucial. This is very important. The day of Yahuwah is a day of darkness There is a snare coming upon the people, and it is the day of Yahuwah. 1 Kings chapter 18 and verse 21. Listen carefully to the words. And Eliyahu, the great prophet who ascended up into the heavens, to the Shemayim, by the will of Yahuwah, it says, and Eliyahu came to the people and said, how long would you keep hopping between two opinions? If Yahuwah's Elohim, follow him, and if Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word. And this is what I'm coming to you today to say. If Yahuwah's the Elohim, serve him, fear and trembling, seek him while he may be found. But if you're going to continue believing that the Lord and the God is going to save you, if you don't understand that there's problems with these words, the word God comes from the name of a Babylonian deity. Some of you are going to say, yeah, but what about the word Gad? It means luck and fortune in Hebrew. Sure, it's a word. Almost all the pagan deities' names are just words, by the way. Molech means Melech or a king. So sure, Gad or God means fortune or luck or a troop or a legion. Okay? But you don't get to choose what you call the Elohim of Israel. And you can tell that these are two different forces. The Lord of the Christian church is lawless. We know the Sunday worship, we know the steeples, we know the Ishtar Easter, Christ Mass, we know all this stuff, the eating of the pork, all the complacency that we see, the effeminate pastors, their weak, sad, pathetic message. Those guys are about to be totally irrelevant, by the way. Only a few of the really big ones that will keep on going to promote the lies. But your average everyday pastor who's down the road, who's weak and soft and pathetic and has no calluses on his hands, it doesn't ever work, it doesn't do anything with his physical body or with his physical hands, he's going to be totally irrelevant in the next few days, in the next few years, in the next few months. All of this is coming to a massive conclusion, and those prophets of Baal obviously do not have the solution for the people of Yahuwah, the children of Yisrael. So come out of her, my people. Do not be partakers of her sins. If you're on the fence, you don't really have a lot of time. You better get off the fence and you better start studying and you better start praying soon, because your time is running out. The time is running out. And there is no rapture. There is no like random moment that you're going to just get whisked away out of here like you're some privileged individual. And I know that upsets some of you, but I don't care. I don't care because I care about the truth. I only care about the truth. And that's how I know that the Messiah Yahushua said what? He said, in this world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. So you say you'll have no tribulation, but he says you'll have tribulation. And what does the scripture say? He who endures to the end shall be saved. So these things need to be understood. I don't have a lot of time to grapple with this immature, false, ridiculous teaching right now. That's not the point. I'm speaking to the elect, and the elect know. So, Devarim chapter 30, verse 19. I have called the heavens and the earth as witnesses today against you. I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore you shall choose life, so that you live, both you and your seed, to love Yahuwah your Elohim, to obey his voice, and to cling to him. For he is your life and your length of days, to dwell in the land which Yahuwah swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob, to give them. And this is a whole nother subject, because right now there's a great controversy about the land of Yahuwah, Yahuwah's own promised land. And there's a great controversy about the people. There's a great controversy about the children of Israel. All these great controversies are happening in real time to sift people, to sift the wheat and the tares, to make it more abundantly obvious who is a child of light and who is a child of the darkness. And that is what is happening now. When I go to Shemoth, let's go to Shemoth, Exodus chapter 32, verse 26, and this is the message. And Moshe stood in the entrance of the camp and said, who is for Yahuwah? Come to me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves to him. And he said to them, thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Yisrael, each one put his sword on his side, pass over to and fro from gate to gate in the camp, and each one kill his brother, and each one his friend, and each one his relative. Now what's this about? The golden calf, okay? It's about the golden calf. But this message is your message. This is message I'm announcing to you today. It says here very clearly, who is for Yahuwah, let him come to me. Brothers and sisters, who is for Yahuwah, let him come to me. It is time. It is your time. It is my time. It is our time. It is the time that Yahuwah has put us here for, to be an inspiration, to be the light in the midst of the darkness. As the darkness grows darker, the light burns brighter. So all of you who are out there, scattered sheep of the house of Yisrael, hear my voice. Now is the time. We must come together. We must come together, and we must work together. We must rationalize together. We must reason together, and we must prepare together. And many of you will be left out of this equation, because many of you still have darkness in your souls. Many of you are still on the fence. Many of you are still hopping between two opinions, whether you will serve Baal or whether you will serve Yahuwah. This is not about me. Take me out of the equation. However, I know that the time has come, that this message must go forward. And those of you who are serious, I'm inviting you to come to me. Let us reason, let us rationalize, let us seek Yahuwah together as brothers and sisters. And those of you who are there just to be stumbling blocks, we don't have time anymore. We're over it. You want to go and keep your fake calendars and make up your new calendar. Every person I know flip-flopping, going to this, going to that, not sticking with the historical realities of the scripture. Fine, go and do it. Go and do it. I'm not going to try to keep you anymore. But those of you who hear my voice and this resonates with you, it resonates with you for a reason. And that's because I know that the Elohim of Israel has sent me to speak these words to you this day, to give you something to consider, to understand that the time has come. There's a line in the sand. No more hopping between two opinions. You have to take care of your temple, take care of this body, take care of the things that you're consuming. You need to get out of these institutions. You need to reject the pharmakia of the beast. You need to reject their hospitals and their sorcery. You need to reject their new world order. You need to take care of your own children instead of sending your children off somewhere for some stranger to raise them and confuse them. Before long, they won't even know what gender they are. They won't know what they are, whether they're a male or female, whether a cat or a dog. This is happening right now. Don't let it happen to your children. Don't let it happen to your people. Be strong, be vigilant, be courageous, be of good cheer. Yahushua said that he overcame the world. Brothers and sisters, I am so happy to be back with you. I know this is intense. I know hearing what I'm saying right now might sound a little tense, but this is the moment we're in. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do other than deliver this word to you, to share it with you that heaven and earth have been called to witness against you. Choose life that you may live. Stop hopping between two opinions. Turn to Yahuwah and let us serve him together. There's a lot of Judas Iscariots out there. There's a lot of betrayers out there, ready and willing to betray you for anything, for a few pieces of silver, for some bread, for whatever it is. Many of them call upon the sacred name of Yahuwah. Believe me, I've met them. And they'll call you brother, 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 give you an embrace and jab you in the back with the sharpest knife they can find. So this thing happens. It's okay. I know many of you have been hurt this way. I know. I hear about it. I listen to your comments and your messages. Sometimes I can't respond to them all, but I do. In fact, I want to put this out there before I end. If you want to contact me, I've lost a lot of your email addresses. If you want to contact me directly, messenger of the name at proton.me. And just because you message me, it doesn't mean that I necessarily will have the opportunity to respond to a lot of questions. I will respond to what I can. But if you send me a whole page and expect me to respond to everything, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, I have, just like you, work, family, all kinds of responsibilities that are on my shoulders. And so my time, your time, our time is valuable because Yahuwah gave us this moment. And this moment is the moment that we need to seek Yahuwah. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Seek Him now. Seek Him with fasting. Seek Him with tears. Seek Him with all your heart, soul, and mind, that it may be well with you, that it may be well with your children's children after you, because Yahuwah has a plan. He has a massive plan for you in these last days. And I know that there's going to be death, and I know there's going to be destruction, and I know that all this is going to happen. I know. But remember the words that I spoke to you previously. Do not say a conspiracy concerning all that this people call a conspiracy. Let Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, be your fear. Let Him be your dread. And the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. And He will give you the discernment, as the scriptures say, by the word of the prophet, that you will hear a voice from behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. And that He will answer before we ask. And while we are yet speaking, He shall provide for us. Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, there is no one like Him. I tell you this because I have been walking with Yahuwah, and He opens every door. He makes a way where there is no way. He opens up paths through the wilderness. He opens up the store treasures of His word to you. If you will seek Him quietly, like Yahushua said, go into your closet and seek Him in secret, so that your Father who sees in secret may reward you openly. Brothers and sisters, please, I'm so serious. You have to join me with seeking Yahuwah. I would like to see some of you men out there especially, start to lose a little bit of your sleep. Set aside sleep for a while. Seek Yahuwah. Sleeping is great. Sleeping is important. You can replace sleep if you can keep your eyes closed long enough through meditation. What they call meditation, it's really, contemplation. It's really just sitting there with your eyes closed. If you can do that for long, you can actually replace sleep. But the point of what I'm saying here is seek Yahuwah. Seek Him with all that you have, tearing your heart out, and listen afterwards. Listen to that small, still voice, and discern so that you don't get led astray. And make sure that that what you're hearing is backed up by the scriptures. Because I know a lot of people out there think they're hearing from Yahuwah, but then they preach these weird things, these really ridiculous theories, and changing names and calendars and everything you can imagine. But it's time for you, the true golden grain of Yahuwah's harvest, to prepare yourselves, make yourselves ready, as a bride does for her husband. I love you all. I love you all so much. And I'm going to be here more and more. And look out for the new book about Yahuwah's name. I'll post some information about that. It's coming out hopefully very soon. I need to tie up some loose ends, have some editing done, etc. But hopefully that'll come out soon, and that'll be a total and complete explanation about the name of Yahuwah from information I've gathered over the course of about 20 years. A lot of stuff you haven't even seen it on YouTube. I haven't shared it on YouTube. There's no point, because I've made it very obvious that the name is Yahuwah through other presentations. But soon it will be abundantly obvious and abundantly clear that this is the only true valid pronunciation of the sacred name. Yahuwah be with you. May He place His countenance upon you and give you His eternal shalom. In Yahushua's name, amen.